Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. It's Dr. Bennett here. I just have a few updates for you. Just a few things I want to talk about. The first thing is homework number 3, which you should have all received your grades and feedback by now. I just have a few comments to make about some of the common mistakes, what was done well, what was done not so well. The second thing I want to talk about is the results of the survey that I asked you to take on Canvas. Thank you to those that took the time to do that. That's really useful information for me. Thank you. And then I want to discuss upcoming deadlines for the course. So there are 2 homeworks left, and obviously the final, so we'll talk about that as well. And finally, I just want to remind you of some of the resources that are open to you for completing the course. Right, so let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is just briefly discuss homework number 3. So question 1 actually I thought was generally answered very well. I was impressed about pretty much all of you managed to structure your solution method really well for this. So just to recap what you had to do, there was this truss structure, 3D truss structure, with some supports at these different locations and then a load applied at point A. Well, the first thing you needed to do was basically apply the equilibrium equations to the whole truss structure to find the unknown reactions, and then use the method of joints to isolate one of these joints to find the tensions in these 3 members. So most of you were able to apply those equilibrium equations and find the reactions at joints E, which was a ball and socket, and also C and D, which were rollers. So you had 5 unknowns there, and you can apply 6 equilibrium equations, right? So it was statically determinate. And most of you, there were some very minor numerical mistakes or sign errors that led to a few mistakes in this, but basically most of you were able to get something sensible for your reactions. And then what you could do from there is go ahead and, sorry for the dodgy camera work by the way today, it's very windy. You could go straight ahead and isolate joint E, because the question wanted you to find the tensions in EB, ED and EC. So you could recognize that you could go straight ahead and isolate joint E, because from there you only have 3 unknowns, and you can apply 3 equilibrium equations in 3 dimensions, right? So the only thing that you had to recall that you needed to do here is include the reactions due to the support that you've just found. And from there you have to just find the position vectors, the unit vectors in each of these directions, and then you get a system in terms of T, EB, TED and TEC. And then you can use whatever method you wanted to solve that system. I think a few people use their calculators or MATLAB or Wolfram or whatever to solve that system to save themselves a bit of algebra, and that was absolutely fine. So I think question 1 in general was answered really well, and I think most people got over 8 out of 10 for that, so that was really well done. Question number 2, there's a bit of an issue with question number 2 because there was a typo in the question. Come on phone, focus please, thank you. So there was a little bit of an issue with this because there was an error in the question, B should have been a roller support, right? But I drew it as a pin support. So if both A and B are pin supports, then there's no load applied on the member AB, right? Because points A and B can't translate. So there's no external force or no load applied on the member AB at all. So actually, what we were discussing about AB being a two-force member isn't actually the case. So, despite there being a bit of an error in the question, it actually led to some quite good analysis, and it allowed you to think about physically what's happening with this system. And a lot of people made some really good analysis and some really good thought processes with actually trying to solve this problem. So I wasn't actually looking for you to solve this problem when I was distributing the marks for this. I was looking for the thought process and the methodology of what you would do to solve it. So as long as you'd drawn a free body diagram with the reactions due to the supports, and then equal and opposite forces where members are in contact, like at the point C, for example. If I saw stuff like this where you had equal and opposite reactions at the supports, I gave you pretty much all the credit. And as I say, the final answer for this I wasn't really too concerned about due to that error or typo in the question. I was looking for how you went about analysing this frame and your thought process behind trying to solve it. So I think despite that little issue, I think quite a good learning point came out of this, and it actually led to you being forced really to think outside the box a little bit, which was good, I thought. So apologies for the little mistake in the question, but I think it turned out pretty well in the end. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was just the results of the survey. So again, thank you to those that took the time to answer these questions. That's really useful information for me. So it seems that from question 1 that most people are happy that they are able to keep up with the course content online. So that's really like the overriding question, really, is that you're managing to keep up with the course. So we seem to have shifted online pretty well. The majority of you also are enjoying the YouTube videos. I did ask Tom Hardy to step in to do a couple of guest appearances for me, but he hasn't got back to me yet, so maybe stay tuned for that. Now, question 3, how you will be assessed for the remainder of the semester. A few people were unsure about what was going on with that, and that's partly my fault, because I said to you that I wasn't sure what the final exam was going to look like yet. I have made some decisions on that, and I will tell you about what to expect on that in due course. Remember that we have those 2 review classes immediately before the final exam as well. So I'll tell you what to expect on the final, and I'll tell you what to revise as well. It will be a comprehensive final, so expect to see questions all the way from week 1 up to the end of the semester. But going to have to do it in slightly different form that you're not in the class taking it. That's the only difference, really. Most people seem to be checking Canvas. I make announcements 3 or 4 times a week with everything that you should be doing. So everyone seems to be happy with that, and also happy with contacting me and being able to ask questions and stuff like that. So again, if you have any issues or you want to discuss anything at all, If it's something that you want to share, then please ask it on the discussion forum on Canvas. If not, email me, or we can also set up a Skype meeting as well. That's no problem at all. So I think most people are happy with that arrangement, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. And finally, everyone seems to be pretty happy that I'm doing what I can. Basically, I'm shifting everything online, in the way that I have resources available to me. So I'm pleased that everyone seems to be happy with how it's going so far. So thank you for those responses, and I'll take all of that on board going forward. So thanks for that. So the next thing I want to talk about is just where we're at with the schedule. We're managing to keep on track with our 3 classes a week. Here we are today, look, 8th of April, and today's video is on friction. Homework 4 is due this Friday by 5 o'clock. There's 2 questions. If you haven't already started that, please do so. Ask me any questions that you have on that with enough time, please. And then after Friday, we only really have 3 proper classes left. So we're on the home stretch. So following the week after next, we will have essentially a week for revision and review. And I'll tell you what to expect on the final and what to revise, that kind of thing. And you'll also have 1 final homework to hand in on the 24th. So basically, homework 4, which you have to do right now, is replacing the 3rd class test, and then we would have normally had this final homework due just before the final as well. So nothing's really changed in terms of the assessment schedule, apart from I've just replaced homework 4, which is due this Friday, with the 3rd class test. And then you have the final exam on the 29th. And I need to stick to that date quite rigorously because obviously other professors are going to be holding their finals on the originally scheduled date. So your final exam will have to be completed on the 29th. So that's where we are, and that's where we're going. So we're on the home stretch, we're almost there, just 2 weeks to go after this week. Okay, and lastly, for this little update video, I just want to remind you of the resources available to you. First thing is obviously the videos that I'm posting on YouTube. I always post the link to a playlist on YouTube, which you should keep up with. Okay, it's all there in order. Please watch them in order, make notes and whatever. So that's the first resource, and that's what's replacing our online, which is what's replacing our in-class lessons, right? The other thing is for the notes that I talk through in the YouTube videos, I always scan them and upload them for your reference as well. They're in online course notes, and they're all there. You can open up these PDFs and follow what I'm doing in the videos, right? So that's that. Also, just to remind you that there are some typed course notes for the whole course in here. As I've said in the past, these are my typed notes, which are basically a compressed version of the textbook. Every theorem, equation, any sort of vital piece of information that you might need in answering questions or or whatever is in here. So this is where you should go for a sort of quick explanation or quick definition of something that you're working on, without sifting through hundreds of pages of the textbook. The key information will be in here, and there's no examples in here, but it tells you basic definitions, equations, and talks through just the key pieces of information. So that's that. There's also the revised syllabus, which has the revised timetable in it if you would like to keep up with that on your own as well. So that's it for today. Keep checking for updates and announcements as always. Keep up with the online content, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Cheers.